Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and as we inch closer and closer to the start of the preseason, which is now less than 2 weeks away, we're able to glean some actual insight about this squad from how they're performing in camp. No more speculation, no more thinking about how the pieces are going to fit. We can see it, and as the pads came on, it was the defense who shined. So we'll touch on that and a lot more on this episode. Without further ado, let's dive in.
You trust Tua down in Miami if you're a Dolphins fan this morning?
I think you have no choice but to give him a chance. The problem last year is the other two quarterbacks taken in the top six along with Tua performed extremely well. And Dolphins fans immediately get very salty when you point out that the Dolphins took Tua when Justin Herbert was still on the board and he ended up being the Offensive Rookie of the Year. So it makes Tua's 2020 season seem like a failure in comparison. And then there's the fact that he got benched on multiple occasions. And then there's the fact that he admitted earlier this offseason he didn't know the offense well enough, which explains why they would pull him in crunch time of a close game because Fitzpatrick did, but why didn't he know the offense better? Why wasn't he comfortable with the audibles and the adjustments and everything else that he needed to do? So the pressure is on him and the team this year. The Dolphins generally are trending in the right direction. I still don't completely rule out a Deshaun Watson trade, although I think it's highly unlikely at this point. But I think they'll give Tua this year, and if he doesn't make a big jump this year, I think they're back in the market next year for a quarterback.
Before we get right into the show, we'd just like to shout out today's sponsor. Our friends over at Cannadips CBD, the nation's leading tobacco and nicotine-free dip alternative, are excited to present the game of the year. Cannadips CBD is a fast-acting and innovative way to consume CBD that works and tastes great, and it won't make you play sneak-a-chew with the wife during football season. So here's what the game of the year actually is. Head over to CannadipsCBD.com and then click the Game of the Year tab, or visit Cannadip's main Instagram and look for the blue checkmark. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is provide your email, and then one winner is going to be chosen on August 31st. This is actually a pretty great giveaway considering all you have to do is give your email, and you pick any regular season NFL game, you get a +1, airfare for 2 with luxury hotel lodging, great seats for the game, and a little extra cash for food and drinks to enjoy your trip. That's right, Cannadips is randomly choosing one lucky winner for the fan experience of a lifetime. So again, head over to CannadipsCBD.com to enter, or check out their Instagram page. If you're the winner, travel with the Dolphins to Vegas. That's what I'm going to do. Or drive up to Tampa and watch Tua decimate Brady and the defending Super Bowl champs. Thank you again to Cannadips for sponsoring this episode. Let's get to the Dolphins. As we've talked about over the last week, there is a difference between standout performances in shorts and pennies versus when the pads are on. And now we're talking about real football. There were way less high-flying, acrobatic deep passes from the offense and a lot more disruption on the part of the defense. And a ton of people are like, sound the alarms, we're going to suck. Calm down. Firstly, and just the thing I don't feel like I really need to say, it's day one of camp. There's a lot of camp left and a few preseason games ahead of us. And second, we say this every single August, the defense is usually ahead of the offense at this point in time. And that's when they're starting from the same point. Even when a new coaching regime comes in, and there's a new offense and a new defense that are being installed, the defense tends to be more dominant with the pads on at the start. And the reason is because the offense is far more focused on executing and installing new plays and concepts. It's a lot of timing-related things that need repetition to improve. Offenses need that time and repetition to gel a lot more than defenses. And don't get me wrong, defenses obviously need that time too. Every great unit does. However, at the start of camp, it's far easier to blow up a play in practice when there's confusion amongst the offensive line over who they're supposed to block based on this concept, or the running back misreads his blocking assignment, goes left, doesn't go right, and there's a free corner blitz, right? For defenders, they just have to read their keys and react, be 1/11th and do their job within that 1/11th, and then the whole unit will work beautifully. And again, it's easier to play fast in the beginning for the defense. So calm down there if you were concerned and feel like the offensive explosion for the last week has been a mirage. It's early. The pads are on. It's good that the defense won. And again, this is the third year of the same scheme for this defense. Brian Flores is a defensive guy, and he's been here for 3 years now. It's the offense that's had a lot of turnover. And again, for the defense, there are some new faces, but way less than what the offense is dealing with. And again, the defense is going into that third year in the same system. And the offense is coming year one with George Godsey, who has currently been sidelined due to protocols. And then, of course, Eric Studsville, the co-offensive coordinators. Excited to see how that works. And again, they're implementing a new system. It takes time. So when things get physical and you have less time to react because people are up in your pads, you tend to play slower because you're thinking. Slower play leads to bad play, hence the defense is winning. And again, this is because the offense is thinking a lot more. The offensive line is thinking about what they need to do because they're implementing a whole new system, while the defense is playing a lot faster because there's more comfort in what they have to do. And look, it's not a bad thing that our defense is winning in pads. I mean, we do have a damn good defense, lest you forget last season. One player who did shine in practice once the pads came on, and again, we've been talking him up for a bit here at the PhinsPod, so I'm glad he did do well, Benardrick McKinney. He was a force in red zone drills, and he really can be a big factor in helping this defensive unit stop the run at a better rate than they did last season. He's a pretty good blitzer too, but Miami's likely going to use guys like Jerome Baker and even the recently added Duke Riley over Benardrick McKinney in covered situations. Another name who has been playing at a consistent level is third-year man, former undrafted free agent Nick Needham. Needham has really made a name for himself ever since joining Miami in 2019, and it's great to see him building off his successes each season and improving. He's served as a pretty damn good nickel corner for our defense. Not perfect, not elite, but pretty damn good compared to what some NFL teams are looking at in their slot corner position. And again, he has a physical skill set to be one of the best in the game. He does have the athleticism, the speed, the quickness, all that stuff. It's just about consistency. Now, he does have some great competition in Justin Coleman, free agent addition from Detroit earlier this year. Coleman has been pretty good so far and is proving to be a valuable addition to the secondary. Compared to Nick Needham, he has way more versatility, though, because Needham's likely going to exclusively play in the slot, and Coleman can, occasionally moonlight on the outside as well. But the more guys who you have who can actually cover, the better we're going to be as a defense down the stretch. So again, defensively, as a whole, we look pretty good. There's stuff in the run and goal line situations, preventing any big plays in the running game, and overall the passing game was limited, especially in those big, deep downfield bombs. And they did also manage to get some pressure. It's good to see Emmanuel Ogbah seem to be causing a lot of pressure in camp today. And again, that could equally mean that we should be concerned about the offensive line. And look, I am a little concerned about the offensive line, but how could you not be as a Dolphins fan? We don't have the best track record, and considering the lack of really any big new additions to the coaching, to the offensive line as a whole, it feels like the coaching staff is signaling to us right now, hey, relax, we got this. We trust in our development. It's hard for me to trust. I've really been burned in the past by this offensive line, so it better work, because if this season is derailed due to poor offensive line play, something that could have been prevented with more focus, potentially signing a veteran guy, I'm going to be annoyed. If this line can't open up running lanes, can't give Tua time, and allow him to step up into an actual pocket, then everyone's development across the offense is going to be stunted. And look, speaking of the offensive line depth, they did take a hit. As the Dolphins and free agent addition DJ Fluker, he was signed obviously at the start of free agency, agreed to an injury settlement, releasing him from the roster. We did report he had a bad knee injury, which was going to keep him out for what's appearing to be now over a month, and that sucks to see, but hopefully Fluker can come back and contribute to an NFL squad in the future. In other injury news, after practicing on Monday, DeVante Parker was held out, and I know this annoys a lot of fans. The guy just can't stay healthy, but to be honest, I think the team is just being really cautious with him. He's not so young anymore either. DeVante is entering his 7th season as a Dolphin. He's an established veteran on this team, one of the very few. We know who he is as a player, and so does the coaching staff. If something is a little sore, probably that hamstring, why risk it? Why risk having him go out there and run reps when knowing what risking it in the past tends to lead to, a worse injury keeping out for weeks? And it does suck to see him out, considering that you want that chemistry between him and Tua to build, considering we're seeing him and Wilson's chemistry really building. You want to see the same flashy, deep plays with DeVante Parker. You really hope that improves this season. But again, I wouldn't stress too much about that yet. If this continues to linger going into preseason games, yeah, I'm going to start being a little bit like, come on, DeVante. Or maybe they're holding him out because they want to trade him. Who knows? It is early. Things are swirling. This is NFL training camp, baby. And Chris Grier, speaking of wild NFL stuff, Chris Grier is showing us his weird fetish, and it's for tight ends. After signing Cethan Carter from the Bengals in free agency, then drafting Hunter Long way higher than many thought the Dolphins needed to target a tight end. They then took a chance on Jabri Blount, who was a former basketball player who has since been released, and now his obsession continues as he's added more tight ends to the already competitive room. The team signed Sal Cannella and Khalif Jackson. Both have not appeared in an NFL game, and they're going to look to show out on special teams, or potentially, if they really want to make this roster and have a shot, they have to flash some serious big play potential or be really good in the blocking game. They have to stand out in something in order for them to really have a chance of securing a spot. And also, there's more competition than Durham Smythe, Adam Shaheen, and Mike Gesicki and Hunter Long. They also added a slightly more experienced tight end in Gabe Holmes. Holmes appeared in 10 games for the Cardinals, and afterwards, and that was, I believe, in 2017. He bounced around a few camps since then, but he has not stuck on quite yet. And lastly, we're going to talk a bit about the Dolphins' defense's reaction to Tua Tagovailoa's performance now that he's entering year 2. Specifically, I want to address some quotes from 2 veterans in the secondary. First, here's Nick Needham.
Oh, yeah, no, he letting it fly this year for sure. I mean, he was last year, but you can see, like, he just looks a little more comfortable back there. He's making some tough throws, putting it in the hole, leading receivers, you know what I'm saying? The one he threw to Rob yesterday on a little out and up, he threw it in a nice little pocket right there, so that was nice. Yes, sir.
It's clear Needham is impressed, and despite keeping the praise kind of reserved, you can tell he's acknowledging a jump from how Tua performed last season. A jump, you say? Well, he did go 6-3 as is. If he didn't take a jump, that was still a winning quarterback. So if you're telling me he's going to be even better, damn. Talk to me, Eric Rowe.
I'm excited to see it happen. You know, Tua, I think he's making that jump. I mean, I see each day he's getting better from the first day. So, you know, now opposing offenses, defenses can't just double one guy and be like, okay, everybody else can be covered. Because now we got, Waddle with the speed, Albert, DeVante, Preston, just Mike G. Pick who you want. He's always had accuracy. That was never a problem. He's always had accuracy. He always had the zip. He always had power. I just believe it's that year 2 jump. Everybody needs to make from their rookie year, and then obviously the type of offense. Because last year I even noticed his playbook was condensed to like slants and bubbles. Really wouldn't let him show his arm. And now seeing in training camp, he's got a lot more deep routes. He's got a lot more. They're allowing him the opportunity to throw it deep. That's what we need.
Damn, that's great to hear. And remember, not to slander our guy, nothing but love for RT17, but when defensive players were asked about Tannehill, there was really not a ton of effusive praise. Rather, we would kind of hear the standard, yeah, he looks good, we believe in Ryan, and the offense as a whole, yada, yada, yada. It was never praise that was super specific about something he was doing that was actually impressing them. You know why? Because they knew he had limitations as a quarterback and were never really surprised at anything he did in practice. And the reason they always brought up the offense as a whole pretty much immediately after being asked about Ryan Tannehill is because they knew that in order for them to succeed, it wasn't just Ryan who needed to play well, but everyone around him too. But the way they're talking about Tua Tagovailoa, it seems like he is the one making plays. And it's clear he's surprising some folks, Eric Rowe included. Oh, and by the way, Eric Rowe practiced against one Tom Brady for years. So unless he's gassing us all up, he does see something real from numero uno. But the specific quote that stuck out to me from Rowe was when he spoke about the offense last year. Quote, obviously the type of offense last year, I even noticed his playbook was condensed to slants and bubbles. They really wouldn't let him show his arm, end quote. More evidence, and frankly proof, that Chan Gailey was not calling the same plays for Tua as he was for Ryan Fitzpatrick. He did not trust Tua. And whether that was justified or due to the lack of weapons, so he didn't trust him to push it downfield with bad weapons, regardless, Miami would pull Tua Tagovailoa because they were down in games and they had to start stretching the field. And Chan knew that the playbook that they had for Tua wasn't designed to do that. And he had way more plays at his disposal with the 15-year veteran calling the shots rather than Tua because he was being so limited. And the fact that they then moved on from Chan Gailey and promoted a guy close to Tua in George Godsey, it does make it clear what the coaching staff thinks of the second-year quarterback. He was being held back as a rookie. It's time to let him loose. And although the defense did win round 1, I am looking forward to a response from the offense in the coming days. And look, this is exactly what you want, right? A battle back and forth. Iron sharpening iron. You don't want the offense dominating for days on end or the defense shutting down everything being thrown at them. you want to see a mix of both, and we're getting that. To be fair to Tua as well, he's currently operating with a lot of his top guys being held out due to nagging injuries. Will Fuller, DeVante Parker, Mike Gesicki's missed some time. So I'm excited to see this offense with their full arsenal of weaponry ready to go. Speaking of potential injuries as well, Salvon Ahmed did get banged up earlier in camp, I believe on Monday, but he was seen working a bit, so hopefully Salvon can make it back. Again, this running back core is going to really rely on Myles Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed, although we do hope to see something from Malcolm Brown. But again, hopefully Salvon can get back 100% before the start of the season. But overall, which weapon on the offense do you feel has not been getting enough love? For me, I think it's Lynn Bowden and Malcolm Perry, both rookies from last year too. I honestly had a lot of high hopes for them, and I haven't really heard or seen much. So when I say they're not getting enough love, I don't know if that's the media is not paying attention or are they not playing well. Hopefully next week in Chicago is going to help elevate some of their play when we get to see them actually matched up in more scrimmage-like situations. Because again, those guys are kind of like gamers. I really feel like Lynn Bowden, Malcolm Perry are the type of guys, get the ball in their hand, put them on a football field. That's when they're at their best. But who do you guys want to see pick it up? Let us know in the comments below.
I know Tua can do it. I've seen him do it. It's not can you do it, it's will you do it for Tua? And that's the big question. Now listen, Will Fuller helps, Jalen Waddle helps, but he's got to trust that I can throw that ball out there. When you're looking 15 to 20-yard throws, ball placement's paramount, okay? Because it's smaller windows. When you're thinking deep throws, trajectory is paramount. He's got to trust that those cats are going to go run underneath that football. Aim, don't guide.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you all so much for listening to the PhinsPod. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again to Timothy Ritchie, member of the pod and supporter of the show over on Patreon. Check that out. Links in the description or head over to patreon.com/PhinsPod. Thank you all so much for the continued support, and please remember to like the video if you enjoyed the show and subscribe just so you never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. Remember that the PhinsPod's available on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Please leave a review if you're listening there as well. Really does help the show out. And of course on YouTube. Continue the conversation with us over on Twitter and Instagram @PhinsPod. I hope you all have an amazing day, almost to the end of the week. And until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.